Okay, next, here she is. So next talk, Discerning Canonical User Representation for Cross-Domain Recommendation, and we have Sherry Savvy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Today, I'm going to talk about how to structure the differences between domains for better cross-domain recommendations. This work is by my former student, Xichen Zhao and I. So you have already seen all the cross-domain schemes from Evgeny, Alessandro, and Cataldo's work. What we have seen common in these talks was that the assumption that whenever we have cross-domain and our domains are item domains, we are having an assumption that users have some shared interests in these domains, right? So we assume there are some similarity between user interests in the different domains. So usually what happens is that people try to model this shared interest in different ways. One way is to have a complete overlap, like what Evgeny have started with, in which we have the assumption that the user interest, preferences, embeddings, or latent factors are very similar to each other in different domains. So if we have projections, for example, we are going to have a complete overlap or very, very similar representations across different users. Some people think that this could be too restrictive. So what they do is that they say, oh, maybe we can have two kinds of representations or embeddings for users, a part that is shared across domains and a part that is not shared. So domain specific is not shared across domains, and domain shared, there is an overlap. The thing is that usually what happens is that the shared representations are going to be very similar to each other or even equal to each other, very restricted. But then the differences, the domain-specific representations are going to be relatively free, and people just learn them without any particular constraints. And that creates an imbalance in between the freedoms between these representations. And what's the problem then? Oh, sorry. It seems like it's a PDF version. I'm missing a visualization, but it's okay, I'm gonna explain it for you. So the problem is that when you have so much constraint in the domain shared representations and a lot of freedom in the domain-specific representations, it's just easier for our learners to not learn anything in the domain shared. So you are just restricting everything there. So what they're gonna learn is going to be everything domain-specific. Or in some cases, there's no differences between the learned representations of domain shared and domain-specific ones. And what is missing here is, it was a visualization, is a TSNE of representations of users, domain shared, domain specific from source domain and target domain. You can look it up in the paper that shows that the distribution, and it's all over the place. So all of the user representations are overlapping. There's no distinction between them. So what we wanted to do in this work was to find a solution that is in between. Instead of having too much structure only on the domain shared and no structure on the domain specific, or just ignoring the domain specific ones, we wanted to have a middle ground. So structure the domain specific ones too. So that's how we came up with our model, discerning canonical user representation learning for cross-domain recommendation, or we call it Dicker CDR, excuse the ugly name. It has two components. So the first component is we propose a new canonical correlation analysis. We call it discerning canonical correlation to learn the user representations. And then we have another component, or one for each of the domains, which is a generative adversarial learning to learn the user embeddings and also do the predictions of recommendations. So first, I present the discerning canonical correlation. Before that, I give you a very brief background on CCA, or canonical correlation analysis. It is a linear mapping that is going to find the maximum linear correlation between two multivariate variables. So if you have two domains like that, what it does is that it's going to find an orthonormal mapping of these two domains into a shared space that there is a maximum correlation between the variables there, right? So it's linear and it just has the similarities. What we did was that we said, okay, we still want to find the similarities, so we want to maximize the correlation. We used the generalized version of CCA instead of simple version. And also, we have a nonlinearity on top of that. What we do, assuming that we are having an embedding from the user, from domain 1 and domain 2, we map these two into a shared latent space. Okay? And we have these loss below to make sure that these shared representations, the mapped representations, are going to be close to each other. And then we have these other two for keeping the orthonormality. Then we wanted to also maximize the differences that we have for the domain-specific ones. So we said we want this structure. So for that, we are going to use the same projection matrices to project the domain-specific embeddings of user into the space. So using the same projections is going to give us the structure, but also we want them to be domain-specific, so they should be very different from each other. So we use the same matrices to map, and then we have a loss to make sure that they are far from each other. And also we want to keep the domain-specific and domain-shared representations to be also far from each other, just another loss for each of the domains, right? So this is simply our discerning canonical correlation. For the generative adversarial learning, for each of the domains we have again, we wanted to have more generalizability, so we are using the GANs. It has a generator and a discriminator for each of the domains. Very simple setup. The generator is going to learn the user representations, domain-specific ones, and domain-shared ones, the embeddings, with a simple MLP, and also it's going to generate recommendations with another MLP. The discriminator is going to learn the difference between the fake generated feedback and the actual one. So it's going to produce the probability that the feedback that we are predicting for the user is real or not. So we do some negative sampling for the learning, and also we have a generator loss, we have a discriminator loss, and we put the loss that is related to discerning CCA into the generator loss. So you see the first part is to compete with the discriminator, and then we have the DCCA losses, we have some generalizability constraints, and also we want the predictions to be true. For discriminator, we are just having the cross-entropy loss to make sure that our classifier is doing correctly. So we had 5 sets of experiments. I don't go through all of them, but all of them are in the paper. I just present some. So first, we can look at the comparison of our experiments with the baselines. What we see here, we used Yelp and Amazon data sets publicly available. We have single domain recommendation models, cross-domains ones, both the ones that have only shared user representations and the ones that have shared and domain-specific user representations. Our model outperformed all of them, so it shows that having structure, adding structure into the domain differences is going to work. We did some ablation studies, so we removed the domain shared loss, we removed the domain-specific loss, and we removed both of them to see if any of them are just there for no reason, and we learned that no, they are all needed to have the better performance. And also, we did another ablation study to see if using GANs is really important here, and we removed the GAN, we replaced it with a simple MLP. We saw that, yes, that is also effective. So these are our ablation studies. We also wanted to see where do we see the improvement of results eventually. So does this result get better for all kinds of user or a specific kinds of user? So we did this cold star kind of analysis, and we saw that for all the users, no matter how many ratings they have, we have a lot of improvements, but specifically for users that had less than 10 ratings and less than 20 ratings, we see most of the improvements in our model. We also saw that in the domains that they are more sparse, we achieve better improvements. Going back to the slide that was missing the representation, please go to the paper and see the visualization of our representation. I'm going to describe that also for you, that our representations are really going to discern and make a distinctions between domain shared and domain specific user representations, making sure that the domain shares are close to each other and the domain specific ones are far from each other. So in summary, we propose that we should look at the domain differences in a structured way also, and that is effective for having better recommendations. We propose discerning canonical correlation analysis to make sure that we can do that, and propose the recommendation system according to that. Our code and data is available on our GitHub page. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
All right, thank you. So one question that I was wondering about, is there room in this method to be strategic about the negative sampling instead of random in order to sort of try and build the sort of distinctions that you're trying to do? Is that a possibility?
That's a very good question. So we did our negative sampling at random, like a lot of other recommender systems, but there was a talk in the previous session that did a very nice job at the negative sampling. In another domain, in the education domain, we also are working on another kind of negative sampling that considers the user history. So I think, yes, probably it has a lot of work to do. We didn't look at that, though.
Interesting. In terms, so here's another question here from Slido. So in your study, was the sort of discernibility aspect of the loss or the GAN aspect, like in your ablation study, what are the sort of contrasts there? Yeah, in terms of the biggest impact.
That's also a good question. If I can go
I
back.
don't think we can back up in the slides.
I cannot go back. So we saw that they are all effective. So we did the ablation study. Really, they were all competing in which one was more effective in different domains. We got different results, but they were all effective. And I think on top of each other, they gave the most improvement eventually.
And then I guess this is probably something that you, it's hard to know without examining more domains, but your question is kind of how sensitive is this to domain-specific aspects of, is there shared concepts? Are there sort of, if I'm, going cross-domain between music and sports, maybe there isn't a whole lot, to find. Thoughts about that?
That's also another great question. So what we had like hyperparameters to tune how much we want each of the losses to be important in the model. In the data sets that we looked at, we tuned the hyperparameters, and the best ones were very close to each other. Like, for example, one of them was 0.4, the other one was 0.5. One of them was 0.3, the other one was 0.4. So in the data sets that we had, probably the effects of each of the components are similar, but I would guess that if there are two domains that are not very similar to each other, probably the domain-specific hyperparameters are going to be higher.
Yeah.
But it gives the flexibility, basically. We did a sensitivity analysis of each of these hyperparameters. On our data sets, it was not that sensitive to how they change.
All right, very good.
Thank
Let's
you.
thank our speaker again.